Hey, it's Juck. We are not bemoaning the noon kickoff. We are now owning it. It's a badge of honor. We're the lunatic fringe that defines our coach's legacy when it comes to this game. They don't get to define that outside the family. Dude, we're cut from a different cloth. We're Ohioans. He's got it all, man. He's even got the jaw. You know the jaw. You see that jaw, and you're just like, yeah, man, that's a dude. Do I want Michigan to beat Oklahoma? No way in hell. I don't know what world I'm living in. This is insane to me. And if you saw my outburst, I apologize. It's showtime now. Welcome to Joke on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me. Sorry, guys. I was just changing. Look, I got a birthday present, and everybody knows what I love in the fam. Check this thing out, huh? Look at how that picture pops. And obviously that is JJ at the Tennessee game. That picture probably going to go down as one of the most famous in Ohio State history from one of the most amazing games in Ohio Stadium history. Sorry, I'm a little wonky here. I decided to zoom in the screen a little bit. I don't know if that's going to work or not. You guys can tell me. I think it cuts off a little bit of the scene in the background. I can't see the entire Ohio Burgie. By the way, the Texas players, they run out on the field. One of them with the American flag, another one with the Texas flag. And I love the look. And I was thinking, man, I think we should use the Ohio Burgie more. The shape of it is awesome. Everything about it is awesome. And I would love to see, the O. You guys know what I'm talking about? The Ohio State flag. If you're unfamiliar, that is the one that is behind me. I'm trying to move this camera here so you can see it better. Right there. The Ohio Burgie. You see the stars and the O, and you got the stripes, and then it comes down like this, comes down and has like a V. It's an amazing looking flag. But it's called the Burgie or the Burgie. I think it's Burgie is how it's pronounced. Anyway, I would love to see the Ohio State players come running out on the field, one with the American flag, one with the Ohio Burgie. Like those Texas players did. I thought it was just a hard look, man. It looked really good. And it is, the Ohio State University. So that would be cool. But got this for my birthday. Thank you to all of you for the birthday wishes. I am 46 years old, man. Closer to 50 than 40. That's a real slap in the face. Let me tell you, that is a real slap in the face. But hey, it's all about how you feel. And I certainly don't act 46 or closer to 50 than 40. I think you guys know that well. But welcome into Juck on Bucks for the latest Juckeye report, as the Buckeyes are number one again, baby, in a poll that is absolutely meaningless, but still nice to be number one. Of course, the Buckeyes second all time in the number of weeks at number one in that poll. First all time in the number of weeks in that top 25 AP poll. And that's one of the statistics, actually both of those statistics, two of the statistics that weigh into how we judge how great a program is. And of course, Ohio State, number one in the all-time Juckeyes program ranking, Alabama, number two. Speaking of Bama, things aren't going so good at Bama. I did a short when Kalen DeBoer was hired. I mean, I did a whole episode, but I posted it in a short and it got a lot of reaction from Alabama fans. And basically what I said was, did you know that between the Bear Bryant and Nick Saban era, there were 23 seasons. And in those 23 seasons, Alabama was finished outside the top 25 10 times. They were outside the top 10, 17 times. And they averaged 4 losses a year. In 23 years between the two, arguably best coaches in the history of college football, Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. So when they just are normal Alabama and don't have the very best coach in college football, they're a good SEC program. And are we now seeing them fall back to what they've just historically been now that they have a good coach, not a great coach? And Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. He's proven that already. He's won a national championships at a lower level and took Washington to a national championship game in his second year. He's a good coach, but culturally, things aren't going good. Things aren't going good for him in Alabama. And it just further cements how difficult it is and how amazing it is what we see at Ohio State year after year after year, coaching hire after coaching hire, and how fortunate we are to root for a team that has never had sustained periods of down football in our lives. And it's amazing. Speaking of that, tonight, I'm recording this right now. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m. tonight on the Buckeye Huddle Primetime Show. I'm going to be talking a little bit about these Buckeyes right now as they currently stand, where they stand in the hierarchy of college football. And I think that it might surprise some people when we just stand back and take a look at where the program actually is under Ryan Day and how Ryan Day stacks up against Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel in all categories, but one, the one I'm talking about there. But the Buckeyes back at number one, got something like 55 votes, LSU and Penn State less than 5 apiece. And that's interesting because what we had seen was a big debate amongst college football fans. And of course, the loudest ones are on social media, that LSU or Penn State deserve to be number one. And I could hear the argument for LSU. The argument for Penn State was utterly absurd to me. I did watch our biggest Big Ten competitors, and I will report, do a little bit of the Big Ten report every week as to what I'm seeing from those teams at the end of the show today. But Penn State, they were a preseason top 2 or 3 team, depending on which poll. They beat Nevada. Some people were saying, well, Ohio State was behind them, and Penn State did nothing to lose their spot. That's not how we do it in week 2. I mean, that really should never be how we do it. We should be doing it based on resume as we go. What's the more impressive resume this week? Okay, now look at the resumes this week. And that's how you should slot them. But, we've dealt with this forever, and it's always been, well, if you're number 2, then you're going to stay there unless you screw up. And that was the logic they were using for Penn State. But that was based off the preseason poll. So if we're looking at this now, the resumes, well, Ohio State's beat a really good team. Can we say they beat the number 1 team and say that definitively was the number 1 team? No, that was a preseason poll, but they beat a really good team. That was clear. So they're obviously have a better resume than Penn State beating Nevada. When we look at LSU, though, who went into Clemson and on the road beat a really good team, the favorite to win the ACC in the preseason. I don't know if they are anymore. Miami looked pretty damn good. And now LSU, maybe does that win make them deserve the number 1 spot? It's a fair argument for sure. And ultimately, I would go with Ohio State. A lot of people thought that LSU looked much more impressive than Ohio State. I disagree. I thought the opponent they played was not as good as that Texas team, but apples to apples and whatever, it is what it is. Who really cares? But the pollsters were definitively clear here. Like there's no doubt amongst the pollsters who the number 1 team is. It's Ohio State. It's Ohio State. And it was not close. And I'm pretty happy about that. Let's take a look at the top 25 and see how else they slotted. So here we go with the AP poll after week number 1. We've got the Buckeyes at number 1. Penn State gets the number 2 slot. LSU number 3. And again, this is where I don't understand the logic. I don't understand the logic one bit. If you're going to, as a pollster, say, all right, going in, I've got Penn State ahead of Ohio State, but Ohio State beats Texas, a very good team. I'm going to catapult them. LSU beats Clemson, a very good team, and I'm not going to catapult them over Penn State. That's not like lining up to me. It's one way or the other. Either you think Penn State doesn't deserve to be jumped because they won and they were number 2, then Ohio State and LSU both stay behind them. Or you think that a better win in week 1 in the preseason ranking shouldn't matter as much. You just slot them accordingly. But they didn't choose to do that here, many of them clearly. And it makes no sense to me whatsoever why Penn State would be number 2 in this equation. But they are. And they're a really good team. Okay, whatever. But this doesn't really matter. Obviously, we know this poll means nothing. It's nothing but fodder for us to sit and talk about as the season goes. It makes it more fun. I know a lot of people hate the poll. I love the poll. I love to see, for instance, Ohio State, Texas was a 1-2 or 1-3 matchup, and that made it more fun. It made it more interesting. If those numbers weren't there, it wouldn't be as fun. I just don't think it would be. The talking points, et cetera. And so much of college football is about the talking points. But regardless, we've got Ohio State, Penn State, LSU as our top three. Now, Georgia at number 4, Miami at number 5. Miami beat Notre Dame in an awesome game, and they look tremendous. I don't know why they're behind Georgia, though I do think Georgia's a very good team at this point right now. Based on what we've seen, Miami should be ahead of Georgia. We got Oregon number 6. I watched them last night. I've got thoughts. Texas number 7 after a loss to number 1. Clemson number 8 after a loss to number 3. Notre Dame number 9 after a loss to number 5. So 7, 8, and 9, 3, 0, and 1 teams. I'd love to know your feelings on that. To have those guys behind South Carolina, behind Illinois, teams we think are really well, you might have some debate. But how about having them ahead of number 14, Florida State? Florida State, who beat the brakes off. Look, it's clear Alabama didn't come out looking like a national championship contender, but doing that is far better than losing to LSU or losing to Miami like Clemson and Notre Dame did. So why is Florida State not ahead of them? Florida State's not ahead of them because of the preconceived notion coming into the season that Florida State was not going to be very good, or we had no idea what they would be. It just makes no sense to me. The logic doesn't square. Florida State, what they did week 1, better than what Clemson and Notre Dame did. Notice I'm not including Texas. Texas deserves their spot. They lost to the best team in the country, clearly. Michigan at number 15. Michigan at number 15. And, why don't we just talk about how the Big Ten contenders looked. Michigan at 15 and Oklahoma at 18. And again, I don't know how Oklahoma is behind Michigan. When we look at those two programs, where they're at right now, it is clear to me that Oklahoma is the better team. They have a fantastic quarterback who is a vet and ready to go. They got a new offense. That quarterback's offense at his last school, he's dynamic as hell. Their offensive line retooled. Their defense is always good. And Michigan has a good defense, a good running game, and a freshman quarterback. I don't understand how Oklahoma's behind them, but I do know that, number 1, we are rooting hard for Oklahoma here in JUCK'S Studios, as we've got our Sooners helmet out for that very reason this Saturday as they welcome into Norman the Michigan Blues. And the Blues will go down there coming off a big win on Saturday in Bryce Underwood's first start, and he looked excellent. For a first start, he looked excellent. I'm not going to BS about this kid. He is the real deal, man. I mean, I've always thought that about him, but coming in and looking like he did in start number 1, the dude's going to be good. I mean, really good. And we're just going to have to deal with him. There's no sense in trying to sit here and downplay how good he is. He's really, really damn good. And as far as like him and Tavian St. Clair coming out, a lot of Buckeye fans wanted to argue it's not close. Tavian's nowhere near the development of where Bryce is right now. Bryce is that dude. Next year, he will enter the season as the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman. I think. I mean, he's just that different. He's electric as hell. Throws the ball on a frozen rope, and obviously, he's got the athleticism and the power. He threw a block on a cornerback to get Justice Haynes. He threw a lead block into the end zone, and it was like, it looked like he was blocking a middle schooler. The dude just bounced off of him. He's a powerhouse. He's smart. He just turned 18. So the dude's really good, and we're going to have to deal with him. And Oklahoma is going to be a huge test. Now, what if they go down there and beat Oklahoma? We're looking at a serious change in the tune of the Big Ten this year, like a big time change. And it would be really interesting because Oregon looked very good against their competition. Dante Moore, their quarterback, He was a freshman at UCLA, sat last year at Oregon behind Dylan Gabriel. This year it's his team. He looked very good. DeCorian Moore, number 1 wide receiver, freshman this year, looked explosive as hell. Their running game looked really good. Their defense looked nasty. Again, a crappy opponent, but things look very good in Oregon. Penn State, Drew Aller was excellent. Playing with Kyron Hudson looked really good. Trevor Pena looked really good. And the guy that I think is going to be the best of those wide receivers out of as far as production and reliability for them, Devontae Ross, the kid out of Troy. He didn't really have much of a game in game number 1, but man, they were really good. I will say this though. They had a difficult time running the ball. Nick Singleton had a lower yards per carry average than CJ Donaldson did against Texas. So there's that. Their offensive line is obviously good. They didn't have a test this week, but I don't know, man. They look good. Oregon looked good. Michigan looked good. USC, their defense was getting hit up. Who were they playing, man? It was Montana State or something. Missouri State. They were playing Missouri State, and they gave up, I want to say, 5 plays of over 20 yards, which, fits right in line with what we know about their defense. Pit those guys against a better offense, and they'd have gotten beat week 1. But the offense looks really good. Mayava looks good. Freshman Husan Longstreet, who came in and played a lot of minutes. He is going to be a total stud. And we knew that coming out of high school. He's a freshman this year, going to be a stud. If Mayava struggles, I think it'll be a quick hook to Husan Longstreet. But the offense looked explosive. They had 3 backs, one of whom is a JUCO transfer. He was the number 1 back in JUCO. Wayman something. This dude, 5'8", jitterbug kind of kid. He is really good. And they also got a couple of big backs. They played all 3. So USC, Oregon, Michigan, and Penn State all look very good week 1. And the Big Ten, a lot of people think not that heavy at the top with talent. I think USC and Michigan better than people are giving them credit for. And this is going to be one hell of a conference race this year. As far as power ratings, right? So my buddy JP always puts out his JP poll, and power rated teams, obviously, this is just who would be favored on a field today if they played. And this is not based on rankings. It's not based on who deserves anything. It's just based on who is the best, who would be favored. And it's essentially what Las Vegas uses to set lines. They use power ratings, and they come up with 100 different ways of rating teams, and they spit out power ratings. And what he's saying in his power rating is Texas would be favored against Ohio State if they played tomorrow. Now, there are sometimes I totally agree with the power ratings here. I really disagree with that one. I think Ohio State is definitively the favorite if those two play tomorrow, no matter where they play. Georgia at number 3, Penn State at number 4, LSU at number 5. I found interesting as well. A lot of people think LSU looked just tremendous yesterday. Or Saturday. I don't think so. And that lines up here with the poll. Oregon at number 6 above Notre Dame, despite Notre Dame taking a loss, still at number 7. And Bama number 12, I think, would surprise some people. And when we look at power ratings, one thing always stands out, and that's talent. If you are more talented, and we know unequivocally that you have talent on the team, you always get that extra bump. And it is very clear that that's what's happening with Alabama there. USC at 16, Michigan at 19. So in a power rating, like I say, Oklahoma at 10, Michigan at 19. And that is similar to where I think they should be ranked coming into week 2, because I don't think Michigan is quite up there with Oklahoma as far as talent. And we're going to find out this Saturday. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I was talking to JP yesterday because I didn't mention this on the show, but somebody had brought up the Portnoy. So they had the Fox set at the game, and then they had the ESPN game day set. And somebody was talking about how Fox didn't do good rate, or why won't they release the rankings of Fox Big Noon Kickoff with Portnoy? That's what the question was. And I happened to be meeting the guy that was meeting me at the game, And I was asking him where he was. He got there first. He was down by the Fox set. So I went over there with my Nina over down there to the Fox set. And I'm walking up, and Wendy's got a truck there. They're giving away free breakfast. And there was not really anybody there. You could kind of walk right in and right up pretty close to the set, which is not usually how it is there. I'm talking like 10:30. It's usually packed. And, you know, it was packed right up by the stage, but the part that they had blocked off, the enclosure, it was not packed. And they were on the sidewalk trying to usher people in. They wanted to fill it up as much as they could, because what I didn't know at the time, they were about to go live to Dave Portnoy. And you probably saw Dave or a replay on Twitter or something, what he had to say. And it was basically like a WWE, just talking trash outside of the shoe and the Buckeye fans booing. It was so corny and cheesy. But at the same time, as Fox was trying to usher people in off the sidewalk to come in and clutter the shot for the Portnoy segment, you couldn't get within 200 yards of the game day crew. It was 200 yards worth of people packed out from St. John where they set up the game day. And granted, they have a better setup at game day where they're located is more conducive to a larger crowd. But what Fox got was maybe a tenth of the folks crowded by to see what they were doing versus game day. And game day obviously had Corso's last helmet gear, but Corso was going to do that inside the stadium. I don't know if everybody knew that, but it was announced beforehand. So I had tweeted that yesterday. On top of that tweet, JP asked me if I was telling the truth, if I was serious about it. I sure was, man. I sure was. They were trying to usher people in to get the shot for Portnoy. But my man, dude, he is running the damn game. And I know sometimes you guys like this when I give you a little backstory on some of the people that you watch. I don't know, like I've told you before, like the people that have helped me along the way, because I've come at this obviously just as a Buckeye fan. I didn't have a name in the business or the industry. I'm not a former player or a former coach, no credibility whatsoever. And there have been some people that have helped me along the way. And obviously Zach and Chris have both helped me tremendously. Kirk Barton helped me when I first got started. Josh Pate has helped me a lot. And not only has he helped me a lot, he actually offered to help me in a way that was just like way beyond what I'd ever ask anybody when I was trying to get something done. So just so you know, whatever your opinions are on him, and I know that he gets a lot of hate recently, and it's because he's been so successful. It's lonely at the top, man. That is a genuine guy. And he is really like people like me that are nobodies to him. He's sitting at number one. He reaches out and is always willing to help and go the extra mile to help people out. So that means a lot to me. And I just wanted to let you guys know that that's a real dude right there.